In today's class, we are going to discuss femoral triangle. Along with that, we are going to discuss femoral canal, supplied aspect which is the femoral hernia. This femoral triangle is a depressed intermuscular space situated in the anteromedial aspect of the upper thigh, and it is clearly evident when you keep your thigh in flexed, laterally rotated and abducted position. Then this depression is clearly evident. Now the boundaries of the femoral triangle. We already know about this muscle which is sartorius. This long muscle crossing the thigh obliquely. So this forms this lateral margin or the lateral border of the femoral triangle. So the medial margin of the sartorius, it forms the lateral border. Then medial, it is bounded by the medial margin of the adductor longus, and the apex is where these two overlap, so that forms the tapering apex. So distal overlap of both forms the apex, and the base is situated proximally, and this is formed by the inguinal ligament. The floor is formed by the muscle which passes underneath the inguinal ligament, and from lateral to medial these are iliacus, psoas major, pectineus and adductor longus. Beneath the adductor longus is also the adductor brevis, but the floor is formed by this iliopsoas, the combined tendon of the iliacus and the psoas major, pectineus and adductor longus. The roof has been cleared here. Roof is formed by this portion which is shown cut here. This is the fascia lata. We have already gone through this portion, fascia lata. So this forms the roof of the femoral triangle. Now the contents of the triangle are these neurovascular structure which from the portion of the pelvis becomes or dedicated to the inferior extremity, to the lower limb. So these are the femoral neurovascular structure. So from lateral to medial, they are femoral nerve, femoral artery and their branches, femoral vein and their tributaries, and deep inguinal group of lymph nodes, some of them. Then these femoral artery, they give rise to two set of branches here, deep and superficial. Superficial branches we have already gone through. The superficial branches are superficial epigastric from the to the epigastrium, superficial circumflex iliac towards this anterior superior spine or the flank, and superficial external pudendal. The deep branches here are deep external pudendal and muscular branches and profunda femoris. So these are the deep branches. And superficial tributaries we have already gone through. They are following the same path. They are the superficial epigastric veins, superficial circumflex iliac vein, then superficial and deep external pudendal vein. So these are the tributaries. Along with that, these superficial vein, they drain into this bigger vein which is known as the great saphenous vein, and the great saphenous vein finally it drains into this femoral vein. So these are the tributaries. This femoral triangle content here is again shown clearly. One of the contents, sometimes they are written in many of the books. This is the femoral branch of the genitofemoral nerve lying just lateral to this femoral artery, and this nerve it passes through or courses through this lateral portion and pierces this sheath and it becomes cutaneous. So it supplies the skin overlying the femoral triangle, this portion. And here also it is evident how this femoral nerve it passes between the gap or between these two muscles, iliacus lying laterally and psoas major lying medially. Between these two, the femoral nerve it passes into this femoral triangle. So most lateral is the femoral nerve, then medial to that is this femoral branch of genitofemoral nerve which pierces and supplies the skin overlying skin. Then this is the femoral artery. Medial to that is the femoral vein and most medial compartment. This compartment is known as the femoral canal. Femoral canal. So there are two surface landmarks that uh, should be discussed here. First is known as the mid-inguinal point and second is known as the midpoint of inguinal ligament. So starting with this mid-inguinal point. So mid-inguinal point is the point between this pubic symphysis and anterior superior spine. This point. And this corresponds to the position of the femoral artery. Now lying just lateral to this pubic symphysis is this pubic tubercle, and from pubic tubercle to anterior superior spine there is this ligament known as the inguinal ligament, and this the midpoint of this inguinal ligament just above this is the position of the deep inguinal ring. Deep inguinal ring. So these are the two related points. Mid-inguinal point correspond to this femoral artery and midpoint of ligament above which is the position of deep inguinal ring. There are some bony landmark also there which should be discussed here. To discuss this next slide about these ligaments. So we already know this is the anterior superior spine, this is the pubic tubercle, and just the line, this line interior to this is known as the pectineal line. Pectineal line, which is in continuity with this arcuate line, the lateral. These are the three ligaments which is relevant here. So we already know this. This is running from this anterior superior spine to the pubic tubercle. This is the inguinal ligament. Inguinal ligament. And from this point along this pecten pubis, along this pectineal line, there is this another ligament which runs here known as the pectineal ligament of Cooper. And then there is this gap in between these two, between the inguinal ligament and the pectineal ligament. This gap is filled by this ligament, this lacunae. This gap is filled by this ligament known as the lacunar ligament of Gimbernat. Lacunar ligament. This fills this gap between the inguinal ligament and pectineal ligament. And this is on this femoral sheath. As we know, this femoral artery, femoral vein, where the continuation of the phalangeal artery and vein. As it passes beneath the inguinal ligament, there may changes into the femoral artery and femoral vein. But as it passes from the abdominal portion, they, along with them, bring along a extraperitoneal fascia, which is derived anteriorly from this interior portion of anteabdominal wall, the interior layer of the anteabdominal wall, which is the fascia transversalis, and posteriorly this is the iliopsoas muscle. So posteriorly this is the psoas fascia. So it is formed by fascia transversalis anteriorly and psoas fascia posteriorly. So this sheath wraps this femoral artery and femoral vein up to proximal 3 cm. After that, it gets fused with the adventitia of these vessels. Now this femoral sheath, it is a funnel shaped structure. This funnel shaped structure, that means it is wider proximally and distally it diminishes and narrows, tapers down. Now, this portion, it covers this femoral vessel an inch below the inguinal ligament, and this femoral nerve, it lies laterally and outside the seat, because laterally this psoas fascia, it fuses with this fascia transversalis with the inguinal ligament. So laterally they are fused, and as we know, this femoral nerve, it lies more laterally in the gap between this iliacus and psoas major. So this is lying more laterally. Before that, the fusion has already occurred between this psoas fascia and fascia transversalis. So the femoral nerve, it lies laterally and outside the sheath. Now this medial most compartment, just medial to the femoral vein, this medial most compartment, this contains fibrofatty tissue, loose connective tissue, and along with them this a portion of the deep inguinal 1 to 2 node, and these drain the external genitalia known as the lymph node of the vertebrate. And this portion is the flexible portion. So lying in vicinity to the femoral vein gives space, building space, so that during the venous drainage this provide a resilient space to the femoral vein. Now this, as we have already seen, there this femoral branch of the genitofemoral nerve lying this lateral to the femoral artery, it pierces this lateral wall. So it pierces it anterolaterally, and then it supplies the skin over this femoral triangle. Now this medial wall, anteromedially, this is again pierced in this great saphenous vein. It pierces it and finally drains. Now this femoral ring. Femoral ring is the initial portion of this funnel shaped portion. So this femoral ring, this is lying proximally and it has these boundaries. So anteriorly, this is the medial part of the inguinal ligament. This is the anterior superior spine, this is the pubic tubercle. So this is the inguinal ligament running between them. So this is the medial part of the inguinal ligament lying anteriorly. Medially is the concentric edge of the lacunar ligament lying in this gap. Posteriorly is the pectineal ligament, and beneath that is the pectineus, and laterally is the femoral vein. Femoral vein. Now, as we know, just or in the class of the abdomen pelvis, you will know there is this spermatic cord in case of male and the round ligament of uterus in case of female. This lies just above its anterior margin, because this is the position of the superficial ligament. So this spermatic cord or the round ligament of uterus lies just above its anterior margin, and these inferior epigastric vessels, they are near anterolateral rim. Anterolateral inferior epigastric. So these are the important relations that should be remembered during the surgery. Surgery for what? Because this is a potential gap. Potential gap, and through these intestinal content like the coil of the intestine or their peritoneal fold, they may herniate, and that may cause femoral hernia. So femoral hernia through this femoral canal. In case of female, only because of their, in case of female, the pelvis is wider and the vessels, they are of smaller caliber, and this iliopubic tract from the abdominal portion, their insertion is again narrow. Because of that, finally there's more space in this femoral canal. And owing to the increase in the intra-abdominal pressure because of the pregnancy or the obesity or the chronic cough, and more in case of the advancing age. As the age advances, there are more chances of this happening. So because of that, these intra-abdominal content, the coil of the intestine or the peritoneal fold, they may herniate through this femoral canal, and this portion herniate, and this is known as the femoral hernia. And these the course of the femoral hernia, it passes initially inferiorly, then it presses this cribriform fascia, but as the membranous fascia is attached inferiorly here, adherent to this inferior margin, so this hernia sac, it proceeds superiorly towards this inferior epigastric vessels or this circumflex vessels. So the course is inferiorly, then anteriorly, and then superiorly. This is the course. And since this is because of this latter portion, because of the obesity or the pregnancy or the chronic coughing condition, this hernia is never congenital. And also there is one more thing, and this hernia is only 3% part, comprises only 3% part of the peri-inguinal hernia. So it is far less common than the inguinal hernia. And because of this cause, this is more prone to strangulation than the inguinal hernia. And how to discriminate between these two, between the inguinal hernia and the femoral hernia? It is the localization of with respect to the pubic tubercle. So this femoral hernia, it lies infrolateral to this pubic tubercle, whereas the inguinal hernia, it lies superior to this pubic tubercle. And during surgery, there is one more thing which should be kept in mind. There is this aberrant branch from the obturator artery known as accessory or the aberrant obturator artery, which may replace the obturator artery, but it is a large branch from the inferior epigastric artery, a large pubic branch from the inferior epigastric artery, which may be present in 1/5 of the cases, that may be lie here, and that usually lies medially. When it is laterally, then it poses more risk. Now there is one relevant topic which is related to the femoral triangle. There is this continuity of the apex of the triangle. So from the apex of the triangle, there is this intermuscular tunnel occupying this distal 2/3 of the medial aspect of the thigh, and this is known as adductor canal. Also, since it lies beneath the sartorius, this is known as subsartorial canal. Being in the plane of the adductor muscle, this is known as adductor canal. This is also known as Hunter's canal because of the name related to the John Hunter. So a scientist discovered it. So this is the Hunter's canal, adductor canal, or subsartorial canal, and this is the continuation of the apex distal. So its beginning is at the apex of the femoral triangle, and its termination it at the distal attachment of the adductor magnus, which forms a adductor hiatus here. So this adductor hiatus is the termination. It ends at the adductor hiatus. Now these are the boundaries of the adductor canal. This is the adductor canal. Here it is shown. So anterolateral, it is bounded by the vastus medialis. Anterolaterally it is bounded by the vastus medialis. Posteromedially it is bounded by these two adductor muscles. Initially adductor longus, beneath which is the adductor magnus. When the adductor longus ends, then adductor magnus. So initially it is bounded by the adductor longus, later it is bounded by the adductor magnus. An anteromedial boundary is which is known as the roof. So it is formed by this subsartorial fascia having this subsartorial plexus. We will discuss the subsartorial plexus, how it is formed. For that we will explore the contents of the adductor canal. So adductor canal, this harbors this continuity of the femoral vessels. So the femoral artery and the femoral vein and its branches. So femoral artery, here it gives the muscular branches to all the muscles, quadriceps femoris as well as sartorius, and it also gives rise to the genicular branches. So there are two set of branches to the muscles and a descending genicular branch. Again femoral nerve, here also it gives rise to these branches to the muscles. After that it is diminished only to this slender cutaneous nerve, which is known as the saphenous nerve. Saphenous nerve, which is going towards this medial portion, and that will continue with this great saphenous vein along medially. And one nerve which is to the quadriceps, which is to the vastus medialis, it is also arising from this part. So the nerve to vastus medialis, nerve to vastus medialis. Those of book they mention this obturator nerve, but this is more medial. This anterior and the posterior division of the obturator nerve, they are more medial. And here we can now discuss how the subsartorial plexus is formed. It is formed by the medial cutaneous nerve of the thigh, which is a branch of femoral nerve. Then the saphenous nerve giving it as a twig, which is again the branch of the femoral, and it also receives a cutaneous branch from the anterior division of the obturator. They form a plexus, nerve plexus, just beneath the subsartorial fascia, and this plexus, it is wrapped around the anterior portion of the femoral artery. Now here we have to also discuss how their relationship of the femoral artery and femoral vein, it changes during the due course. So initially at the femoral triangle, the vein was medially and the femoral artery, it was lying laterally. As it descends into the adductor canal, the artery is now more in the anterior position. So it is lying anterolaterally and vein is lying posteromedially. And when it passes through this adductor hiatus, which is the terminal end of the adductor canal, when it passes through that adductor hiatus, these vessels, the femoral vessels, they are now lying in the popliteal fossa. From this anterior portion, they are now lying in the posterior portion. So these structure, their relationship then changes again. So femoral vessels, as they passes from this adductor hiatus, from this terminal end of the adductor canal, they are now known as popliteal vessels, and then they supply the posterior portion, or they are shifted to the back of the thigh. So this portion is now known as popliteal vessels. Here also you can see how their relationship is now. Here the artery is lying medially and the vein it is lying laterally. So initially in the femoral triangle the vein was medially at the adductor canal. Its position has changes. It is now lying laterally, posterolaterally, and in the popliteal fossa. It is the vein is lateral and the artery is now lying medially. So that's all about this femoral triangle and this adductor canal.